Good evening, lovely tubers. White Mexican back again for another Market Watch Investments video for you guys tonight. Getting things kick-started with the original OG print Secret Rare of Shared Ride. I think this is a fantastic draw card. It's got that utility diversity because it is a quick play magic card, so play it from your hand on your turn, set it, play on your opponent's turn. The common play is to set it and play on your opponent's turn. And it's got amazing artwork. Of course, we have the graceful charity character here. We have Sangan. We have one of the delinquent duo demons, and then these alligator-looking Oni demon things in the background. Pretty cool. I think this is like the realms of the underworld or something right here in the background, but really cool stuff. And there's two versions of this. Well, there's more than two versions, so there's two different secret versions. One of the older Megatons donned a mere secret rare of this, but this is the original secret rare donning from Legacy of the Valiant, so safe to assume the majority of players are going to want to go for this. And this is relatively cheap for what it is. It's no longer at that $2 price point that it kind of settled at for a very, very long time. And let's go ahead and take a look at some prices here. It looks like a lightly played, or first edition lightly played, is about 4 bones before you factor in shipping. Unfortunately, it's a 1 stack. And then we get our first near mint. This is a 3 stack here for about 6 bones. And then it pretty much just stabilizes at 6 bones after that. There is 4 pages on the market, so something to consider. This having amazing artwork, having diversity and utility of being a quick play, and being just a great side card potentially for draw power. Again, White Mexican theory, I'm just really, really big on draw power cards in general. I think that's a really, really key part of dueling. So really great stuff on that. Taking it back to Gen 1 Yu-Gi-Oh! We're looking at the original super rare prints of Labyrinth and Nightmares Fire Princess. The artwork is just complete amazing on this card. This is a really crappy photo. It doesn't give it justice. It looks completely depixelated and gross and terrible. This card looks fantastic though, up close and personal. I highly, highly recommend that anyone that can afford it and will take the means to invest appropriately in first edition Gen 1 cards. White Mexican theory, what I consider the Gen 1 Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the first 13 core sets, LOB, Legend of Blue Eyes, through RDS, Rise of Destiny, exclusively for the first editions, lightly played or better conditioning. It's getting very, very, very scarce on the market. Those sets have already been bledded completely through on the collector's market, and they are just great gems. But if you dig deep enough, there are things that are still readily available if you look hard enough. So unlimiteds are not going to be much of anything because they're unlimited. There's 4 pages here on the market, and there's no first editions on the first 2 pages. We get our first edition on the third page. It is a near mint first edition, and it's a starting market price of 20 bones once you factor in shipping. So incredible price, exponential price increase in this. Again, moving on to the last page here, it pretty much bottoms out at 20 bones. The majority of these are 20 bones across the board, and they are actually all near mint. Interesting enough, even the very bottom here, it doesn't even go past the 20. So pretty much across the board, all of the first editions are the only ones that are left are the near mints. Luckily so, and they are $20. This card being extremely ancient, being a super rare holo foil, again, back in the day, secret rare was the ceiling, so getting a super rare was actually relatively competitive out of the booster packs, and the artwork is just phenomenal. And who knows if this can be, put into a combo centric deck if eventually we get a fire based burn themed deck, which, I mean, that'd be no surprise. That's pretty much like common mechanics for burn decks, but just really good stuff. Maybe check eBay. Again, TCGP is not the only format to buy these cards. It's just the easiest platform to make Market Watch videos for you guys. And that's just, it's just interesting enough that is definitely seeing some really great price points. Next is going to be Pot of Duality. So there is so many amazing prints of this. I've kind of gone back to my roots of anti-meta. I've been messing around and building a lot and playing around with anti-meta a lot of late. And I love this card. I proc this card at 3 as well, obviously with Extravagance, and then Desires at 2. and that's kind of the lineup for the draw power in the majority of my anti-meta builds. And this is very much a very key card in that deck, in my personal opinion. It's very, very old, came out of amazing, very, very great set. Duelist Revolution was such a complete, amazing set. We got a lot of amazing cards in this set, like Effect Failure, Solemn Warning, of course, Pot of Duality, a lot of just really, really great blowout cards. Of course, there's the Astral Pack 5 Ultimate Rares, which ideally, are going to have the fattest price point, and I would assume the majority of players would want that. It is very, very costly, though, so you have to kind of do tactical decision-making on that. The first edition secrets, I'm actually really curious how much those are going for. For forever, I've been trying to pick up first edition copies, even lightly played, But then again, my theory is I love collecting high rarity stuff. Like, I have a lot of high rarity stuff, but I don't really tend to play with my high rarity. Very, very rare occasions I'll play with my high rarity. I personally proc these super rares as a playset in my builds, because they're super rares, they still look okay enough to play with, and if they get lightly played, it's fine, because you're not going to really lose value and then just dueling over time, and that's just player preference for me. So Unlimited's lightly played starting market price is going to be about 27 bones. And then for a near mint, it goes up to 30. Again, I highly do not recommend that you guys invest. If you're going to go high rarity of secret, you definitely want to go first edition. Lightly Playeds for first edition, our starting market price is 50 bones. And then for a near mint first edition, not too bad, it goes to 55. There's 5 pages available of this. So both this and the Ultimate Rare, they're very, very aesthetically pleasing. They look really nice. They're really high rarity. But for this card, for the utility of this card, I really would not disregard or discredit the Duelist Saga Ultra Rares. Is a very, very nice, healthy alternative. It's kind of getting up there in price now. I want to say the average is between like 3-5 bones for like lightly played. And pretty much all of these, I'm pretty sure Duelist Saga only ran in first edition print, so I don't think you're going to have an issue finding a first edition. But the 2011 tin super rare promos are also really, really nice too. Even more affordable than the Duelist Saga Ultra Rares. I still think these look very, very nice. A lot of people don't like super rare because they're highly like mass produced and they come off very cheap looking, and they're not very expensive for the most part. There's not really a lot of collectability to super rares unless it's like an original first edition, really, really old school card. But I think these look great, and it doesn't really matter if you play with them, because if they become lightly played, it's not really a big deal because it's not really an expensive card. You can see pretty much all across the board, lightly playeds are pretty much 2 bones when you factor in shipping, and then again near mints are roughly around 2+. So not really a big deal. Interesting enough, the majority of these, actually all of these, are 1 stacks. And there is 5+ pages, so there's probably more availability on the market in the later pages. But that's Pot of a Duality. There's so many amazing prints. It's completely up to you which one you guys want to use. Obviously, not every deck can use this card, but I think this is a fantastic utility card. Every couple years or so, we get a new pot card, and it really kind of changes up the games and kind of takes a spin on players' opinion. Of late, I've been really getting into star foils, which I'm actually going to talk about towards the end of the video for my personal selections towards star foils. So I'm if you even want to go for more affordability, I also would not discredit the star foils, but I do appreciate the super rares 100% over the star foils, even though star foils are very unique. The star pack was quite a bit ago, and didn't have a very long standing print. So all of these 5 prints are fantastic choices, so completely up to you which ones you guys want to go for. Next is going to be Confiscation. So this is the original OG Magic Ruler Magic Stamp. The ones that are from Magic Ruler have the actual Magic Stamp here, not the spell card stamp, because Spell Ruler was the second run print. It was after the whole conspiracy theory or argument of whatever, where they had to change from magic cards to spell cards. But really awesome history merit on that if you get the Magic Ruler ones, because they have the magic stamps here in the corner, and they're the original print runs, and just great history merit for Gen 1 Yu-Gi-Oh! Right there. Unlimiteds are really much of nothing. Again, with this card, as with the majority of Gen 1 cards, you always want to go first edition. In my personal opinion, don't overspend. invest within your means, but definitely put forth your best efforts to acquire the first editions. The first edition is a lightly played here. It's a 1 stack, and it's roughly around 3 bones before you factor in shipping. And then there's another one here for, again, roughly around 4 bones. It's a 2 stack. And let's see if we can go ahead and find you guys a near mint. The first near mint first editions is going to be on the 3rd page, and those go up to about 9 bones starting market price. There's 2 of them here for roughly around 9 bones, and there's 5 pages here on the market. So this is a banned card. This has been banned forever. This hasn't seen the light of day since it got hit on the list. Forbidden ban list. The artwork is just completely immaculate in this. It's like this old school, very classic art looking Yu-Gi-Oh! Like classic Gen 1 style with this whole disparity, and you know, it is a super rare holofoil, so again, really great. It's going to be great on the aesthetics, and this card is just insanely old, and it's a very infamous ban card. And for all those reasons, I think that this is already, you know, has been completely bled through on the collector's market, and I would not be surprised if these start to disappear as they have been. This card used to be relatively in high abundance. I remember when I was living in Japan a couple years ago, I was picking these up left and right for $2, max $3. I'm talking about near mint first editions, and you know, I'm really surprised that they haven't increased more. I'm very surprised. So I really don't think these prices are going to last, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Next is going to be Invader of the Throne. Again, a very nostalgic, great, super rare holofoil, donning out of the same set, Magic Ruler. I believe this was the 3rd core booster pack in Gen 1 Yu-Gi-Oh! And the artwork, again, is just fantastic. It's really cool. You can't really see it here in the photo here on TCGP, but when you hold the card up close, her eyes are holographic. She has like these like really like shiny foiling purple eyes that just pop really well in the super rare foiling. Looks really great, and the background just looks like melted mercury, and like melted mercury / like melted nickel. It looks really cool. And this card, again, it's just insanely old. The effect is really, you know, it's an old school, out of date effect, but this is all for the aesthetic behind the artwork. First editions exclusively, obviously, this being a target market for collectors market, in my personal opinion. Unlimiteds are going to be essentially useless. Looks like there's 5 pages here on the market. There's no first editions on the first 2 pages. We get our first editions on the 3rd page. A lightly played first edition 1 stack is about 3 bones before you factor in shipping. And then again, there's another one here for about 3 bones with $1 shipping. Moving to the second last page, there's a couple other 1 stacks of first editions. I'm looking for a near mint for you guys. The last page dawns our first near mints for a little over 12 bones. Seems to be the average market price, around 12, 13 plus bones for the near mint first edition. So not a very significant price increase, but you can see that the first editions are quickly dwindling in numbers. And for all the reasons I mentioned before, this is just a fantastic Gen 1 collector's target. Next is going to be something a little bit newer, well, a lot newer, but still very old. Dawning from Order of Chaos, Gaga Girl as a secret rare. Order of Chaos, I believe it was like around 2011, 2012-ish era Yu-Gi-Oh! So quite some years ago, definitely up there in age. And the artwork is just relatively cool. I love like the little skull necklace chain she has here. Kind of an interesting position that she has. And the secret rare hollow foil coils are very deep and predominant. It looks very aesthetically pleasing in this. Obviously, this is just essentially a knockoff version of Dark Magician Girl. A lot of Dark Magician Girl references with her apparel and, you know, all that stuff, the hair and all that good stuff. So not a playable card by any means, in my personal opinion. And this is all, again, for just being a high rarity of secret rare and having really great aesthetics and having really, you know, that cutesy waifu, cutesy girl, anime girl artwork. And it's getting up there in age as well. So we're going to go ahead and look into first editions. Unlimiteds are, surprisingly enough, they're actually a couple bones here. They're roughly around 5-ish bones for a starting market price for, well, 5 is 6 once you factor in shipping for lightly played unlimiteds. But I want to talk about, of course, exclusively the first editions. The first edition lightly played here is about 11 bones. There is 4 pages here on the market, and the starting market price for near mint first editions is roughly around 15 bones, and it just kind of trickles up a little bit after that. Again, 4 pages of availability on this. I think this is going to be the next, I don't want to say the next Dark Magician Girl, definitely not, but it's definitely a separate fraction of Dark Magician Girl collector lovers, fanboys, whatever you want to say. Next is going to be Mystical Fairy Elfuria. So this used to be a solo print, and it had a couple other prints, one of them being in the Advent Calendar, I believe. But this is the original secret rare dawning out of Cosmo Blazer. Again, Cosmo Blazer is not an insanely ancient set, but it is very, very old. Again, I believe Cosmo Blazer was roughly around the era of 2014, 2015 maybe, so definitely has some years on its merit. The artwork is just complete. I personally really like the artwork a lot. She reminds me of like something like a character from Zelda or something. She's got like this magical pimp staff cane with these berries and spikes, and I personally have several copies of these first edition, and the secret rare foiling just looks great. Secret rare is, as you can tell, I'm pretty biased towards secret rare. It's my second favorite rarity in the game, so I really appreciate it a lot. The effect is really so-and-so. The effect on this and Ghost Fairy Elphobia, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, which they obviously have very, very great similarities here. But this is not really, this is for aesthetics. This is for being high rarity of secret rare. This is for artwork. Again, just being another one of those like kind of cutesy waifu-ish category cards. And this card is just insanely cheap, and that's the most important takeaway that I want to emphasis on here. Is this card's insanely cheap for what it is. And the unlimiteds are not really much of anything. Near mint first edition is about 3 bones roughly when you factor in shipping. A little bit about 4 bones. A little over 3 bones after you factor in shipping. There's 4 pages here on the market, and near mint first editions, I mean, they're starting again. They're roughly around, a little bit past 3 bones, pretty much all across the board. And there's only 4 pages again on this, so this is just, I think this is really cheap, and for all those reasons I mentioned before, and no one's really looking at this, no one really cares about this card. This White Mexican might just be a crazy old fool, and he's just picking these random cards, but these are just, my personal selections that I have kind of been trailing for several years now, and time will tell. Time will definitely tell. Next is going to be kind of like the sister to this card, the evil twin, Ghost Fairy Elphobia. This was out of Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy, which was, roughly around the same time as, what was the other set? Cosmo Blazer. They were like back to back. This is a solo print. So out of all of the TCG cards, this is the only version of this card. It is a super rare holo foil. Now, granted, it is not a secret rare like Mystical, but Mystical has reprints. Mystical is not a solo print, whereas Ghost Fairy Elphobia is a solo print still to this day from a very relatively old set, which is very impressive. And the artwork in this one, I've always kind of cherished the kind of like more darker, like alluring, like evil looking artwork. This one's kind of like the happy light, and then this one's, like the dark demonic looking kind of ones. It's got like the Death Crow. She has like a very interesting, colorful looking staff wand thing here, and you can see it's like a death hollow, like deathly shallow hollows in the background, and it's got a really dark effect to it. Of course, the red and the black just blends very, very well together, and it's got the pale skin. And anyway, I love the artwork on this so much, and it's just an old school super rare solo print. And for the longest time, I've been trailing this card for probably I've been trailing these cards for a long time, talking about these cards for a bit, and this card used to be in huge abundance, and I'm pretty sure it should still relatively be. I mean, there's 5 pages here on the market. The first edition, again, you want to invest exclusively only on first edition, especially for these being extremely affordable. The price has had little to, I don't want to say really not little to no increase. It's just the quantity that's available here, at least here on the TCGP platform, has just decreased. It's decreased. So there's one, there's the whole first page only has one first edition. It's roughly around 2 bones if you factor in shipping. Going to the second one, there's a 2-stack here for 75 cents plus roughly a bone shipping. And then there's another 5-stack here for not even 2 bones and then you factor in shipping. So there's 5+ pages of this, and I can't really say anything else. I just really believe in this card. I personally have a lot of ties to this card. I've invested very heavily in this card. Maybe it'll amount to nothing. Maybe it will amount to something. I'm hoping it does. And I mean, why not? Time will definitely tell for this as well as any card that people choose to put in their showcasings. Banisher of the Light is going to be next. So something about Magic Ruler. Well, I love Magic Ruler. Magic Ruler is definitely one of my all-time favorite Gen 1 sets, up there with Invasion of Chaos. I think it's safe to assume that Pharaonic Guardian, Invasion of Chaos, and Magic Ruler are some of my all-time favorite Gen 1 Yu-Gi-Oh sets. I'm completely obsessed with the first 13 core sets, but those sets just really completely stand out for me personally. And this card's really cool. So it's a Banisher of the Radiance, except it just has lower attack. It's got a little bit of a fatter defense of 2000. This apparel reminds me of something of Dragon Ball Z. I think it was when Gohan was a kid, he had a little dress like this and a little dorky hat or something. I don't know, but I think about old school Dragon Ball Z, the first couple seasons of Dragon Ball Z, when I think about this, and the whole finger thing. It reminds me of Frieza doing, he would do the little laser blast things out of his fingers. And anyway, really good show, by the way. So this is the original super rare, again, out of the original Magic Ruler, not Spell Ruler. So a lot of great history behind that. And again, I've always been a relatively big fan of removal / dot anti-meta decks. I'm really missing Macrocosmos. We're getting a ban list in a couple weeks here, and I would really love to see Skill Drain and Macrocosmos lifted off the list. But again, time will tell. We'll see. This is just an insanely old card. I think it has really cool artwork, and again, being a super rare holo foil, I think it's not only has good utility to a certain extent. I know the majority of anti-meta players, myself included. I used to proc 3 of these and 3 Banisher, but now I just proc just the playset of the Banisher and of course Macrocosmos. But this is not to be pushed aside. I definitely think that this is a very, very good collector's card. Now, granted, there is secret and ultimate rare versions of Banisher, and tactfully, Banisher is going to be kind of a more playable card. I would definitely agree with that. But with this being so much older than Banisher and just being extremely ancient, I definitely can see this bleeding through in the collector's market. And for the first editions exclusively. So there's 5 pages here on the market. There is no first editions on the first page or the second page. The first editions are going to be on the third page, and they are roughly around 3 bones before you factor in shipping. That's a 1-stack for lightly played. They're all pretty much 3 bones across the board for lightly playeds on here on page 3. Moving to page 4, I'm trying to find a near mint, so maybe the last page. Okay, so we get two copies of near mints with a starting market price of 15 bones for the near mint condition ones. So not a substantial price increase, but you got to think back not even that long ago, maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years ago, I was picking these up like crazy for a bone and a half, $2, and and now for first editions, near mints, lightly played, mostly lightly playeds, and now it's 15. So I'm really curious to see, in the next X amount of time, what the growth is going to be on this card, because these are not being reproduced. These are ancient cards, and what we have left of the Gen 1 market is all we're going to get until someone, liquidates their collector stuff and puts it back recycles it back onto the market, secondary market. Next is going to be one of the all-star gems of this showcasing, in my personal opinion. So everyone knows that Dark Magician Girl, Injection Fairy Lily, and Tour Guide from the Underworld are probably some of the most iconic, at least in my personal opinion, waifu female cutesy artwork cards, collectible cards. And I'm very, very surprised that it's taken the market so long to catch up with Tour Bus, because this artwork, in my opinion, is just as good, if I'm so bold to say, or not even better than Tour Guide from the Underworld. I get it, Tour Guide from the Underworld, it's OG, it's a lot of money, we got secret prints, we got ultimate prints, we got Duelist Saga, there's a lot of really great prints, and I'm not discrediting Tour Guide. It's a really good card. It got lifted to 3. You can use it in Burning Abyss. You can use it in Dark World. There's a lot of, it was like, kind of a first of its kind, especially something from the deck was a really big deal when it first came out. And anyway, all I want to say is with all these cards, if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, and you guys probably notice I do recycle different cards that I choose to showcase, because I don't know who's like an old viewer or a new viewer, or like who's not even subscribed but kind of comes in and out whenever I, every once in a while. I don't know who you guys are, so I definitely recycle some material and some content, because I want to make sure that anyone who takes the time to watch this is aware of these showcasings. And this is an amazing collector's target. It is a high rarity secret rare. Order Chaos, again, is definitely well up there in age. Again, Order Chaos was around 2011, 2012 era Yu-Gi-Oh! And the artwork is just completely blowout. Of course, you have Tour Guide here, the tour bus. You have like the zombie Nether Soul mountain over here, which looks really cool. And, so let's go ahead and check out first editions. Of course, first editions is what I'm going to be talking about in reference to the collector's market. There is, the first edition here is a near mint, and it's going for 7 bones. That's starting market price. For the second page, there's 4 pages available here on TCGP. The next one, this is actually pretty nice. This is a 3-stack for 7 bones for near mint. And again, especially for these cards, a lot of people can be big sticklers on conditioning, so you want to be very, very careful when you're selling cards, or if you're a collector yourself. I know I personally collect. My collector's version, White Mexican Theory, is lightly played and near mint, as long as it has those first edition stamps. That's the main thing I really care about, but I know other collectors are a little bit more hardcore than me, so completely respect that, and I know that they're out there too. And this is, and it continues to kind of trickle up over here, goes to about 11 bones, and there's the 4th page here, just to kind of, out of curiosity, it's going to bottom out. Surprisingly enough, the bottom out price is not that far off. 11 bones for the last 2 near mint first editions. This card, it's not going to stay at this price point. I think it's only a matter of time, and I'm very, very surprised that this is not hitting higher price points, because this is just an amazing, amazing collector's card. Next is going to be all the way back to Gen 1 Set 1, LOB Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon, as a rare Spirit of the Harp. This is one of my definitely one of my top tier rares from LOB. Really, really great nostalgic classic stuff, obviously. And I really like the artwork. Her face looks kind of just like not very like decorative and kind of like basic, but almost kind of like cold and porcelain, and like very like dark, I guess, and kind of like in like a spooky way. And, being that's the first set, and that's a rare, obviously, talking about first editions exclusively, anything pretty much first edition, even the majority of even commons are really, really good value. And you guys know that. Everyone's known that. A lot of the Gen 1 stuff is just going exponentially up in value. So let's go ahead and see if we can find a first edition here. Looks like there's 5+ pages here on the market, and it is going to be a trip trying to find a first edition, seeing how this is, of course, Gen 1 Set 1 LOB. There's actually, okay, so the only first editions are going to be on the final page. The first edition is going to be a lightly played for 7 bones. And then, again, this just puts emphasis on the differentiation of not only price differentiation from Unlimited and First Edition, but lightly played First Edition to Near Mint First Edition. We see that the Near Mint First Editions are going for 25 bones. And there's 2 here, and then it bottoms out at 50 bones. Now, I know this is just a rare, and I don't think much of anyone is going to want to pay these prices for just a rare, but it is set 1 Gen 1, and surprisingly enough, this is not where these price points are going to stop. This card is going to continue to increase as it continues just to become more and more older than it already is. This is already like the bottom, rock solid bottom of ancient cards. So really interesting stuff on that. Next is going to be Soul Fusion's Condemned Witch as a secret rare. So unfortunately, this is no longer a solo print. It used to be a solo print for quite a bit. Soul Fusion, again, is a relatively new set, in my personal opinion. Really awesome set. We got all the Thunder Dragon stuff. I highly recommend you guys invest in first edition secret rare Colossus. I'm not saying it's coming off the list anytime soon. I am an avid believer that everything comes off the list eventually. It's just a matter of Konami or Rats it or not, and Thunder Dragons are just really cool. But anyway, enough about that. This card, not only is it a high rarity of secret rare, it has utterly amazing artwork. Again, I mean, call me a fanboy of kind of like the dark, evil-looking girls, but this artwork is just really, really sinister and dark and amazing. I love how it's a dark fairy. That doesn't really follow suit. The majority of fairy monsters are light, and I really like how it's dark. And the playability value behind this is actually relatively good. The searching out the forbidden quick play is kind of like so-and-so, but the pushing it off to special summon a fairy from the deck is that this is kind of a first for fairies to a certain extent. And it's a level 4, it's a dark, and it's got 2000 defense. So I think the recyclability on the play factor of this card is very well put together. And again, just being a secret rare, high-rated secret rare, and the artwork is just completely amazing. And the price changes in this card has been very frequent. I think it's definitely gone up and down throughout the years since Soul Fusion release. Starting market price is actually a 3-stack here, so that's nice. It is going to be 3 bones before you factor in shipping. Again, that's for near mint first. So this is a really, really good deal. I think anything under 5 bones is a steal for this card. I think that this card is definitely going to go well above the $10 market price. I don't know when, but I definitely can feel it coming for sure for just all those reasons I mentioned. It's really, really great stuff. So 3 bones here, and then kind of trickles up to about roughly 4-ish bones when you want to crack down on shipping. And surprisingly enough, there's like a 2-stack here, a 3-stack here. The starting stack was a 3-stack, and there's 5+ pages. So there's plenty of availability of this card. And this is kind of a 2-pronged attack, because not only I believe this will bleed into the collector's market, it's also a relatively playable card and competitive card, in my personal opinion. So really great stuff on that. Of course, next is going to be the infamous tour guide from the Underworld. We have the very infamous Astral Pack 6 Ultimate Rares, which are donning really, really heavy price tags. The Extreme Victory, my personal favorites of all time. The OG Secret Rares, really, really great stuff. And I'm not going to cover these specifically because they're just, everyone knows about the secrets and the ultimates. They're the highest rarities. They're very aesthetically pleasing. They look great. And if you guys can get, a first edition secret or an ultimate, go for it. Personally, my personal player preference would be the original OG Secret First Editions. Of course, Duelist Saga being still to the day this only set to produce this very unique ultra rare hollow foiling. I don't normally like ultra rares, but I make exceptions for a very select few, like Gen 1 First Editions, Duelist Saga, Dual Terminal, Shonen Jump promos, stuff like that. And this just looks really great too. So this is a couple dollars here. And the super rare tin promos from the 2012 collector tins is something I kind of want to talk about, because again, I know that a lot of people don't favor the super rare rarity. I have a strange love for super rare. I really do appreciate super rares. I'm like obsessed with having my hand traps and super rares. I love myself some super rare Max C's and some super rare Ash Blossoms. Just really good stuff. And I think that, again, with this having just amazing artwork and being a really great collectible card, and a very playable card at that as well, and, you know, obviously the secrets and the ultimates being the more collectible, this tin super is very, very old. This is the only super rare print that we have of this very infamous card, so that kind of gives it some good merit value. It is very, very affordable. There's not really, you know, it's like around 2 bones starting market price. There's not really a lot of fat stacks. These are all 1 stacks except for this 2 stack here. And there's, really quick, I want to switch over to 3 of, just kind of give you an idea. But when you get to the bulkier values to pick up in mass is when it goes to about 5+. So it's kind of interesting. This isn't specifically the version that, I mean, maybe it is, because the next version I'm going to show you guys is kind of already pretty well picked off on the market, but I think it's a very undervalued and under-noticed rarity, and that's actually going to be the star foils from Battle Pack. When this came out, this was so legendary. Everyone was all over this, because back in the day, all we had was the secret rares. This card was crazy. It was huge XYZ format, and this card was very, Tour Guide was very expensive. It was very hard to get. And when the battle packs came out, reproducing it in rare, black rare to be exact, and star foil, these were a really big deal, and these were relatively expensive, and these were relatively sought after. And one of the main reasons why this set sold, why Konami had a really great marketing ploy for this product, for the battle pack, Gen 1 battle pack, was because of the rare and the star foil tour guides. So personally, I don't much care take note of the black rare. It looks pretty much just like a common, essentially, because commons have black text, and this has like black rare. Normally rares are silver, so I thought that was not very a very good ploy on Konami's part, but it is what it is. I would personally go for the star foil rares, because even though this is kind of like a common, it's more so of like the allure of like GT, of like dual terminal, because it has like actual stars embedded foiling. It looks really, really clean, really crisp, really nice, very aesthetically pleasing in my personal opinion. And you know, this was such a kind of short-lived, obscure set that kind of like battle packs was like the next big thing, and it kind of just flopped, and it unfortunately it didn't really it wasn't very successful. It was really cool. I don't remember if it was this one, but one of the battle packs, they actually like one of the gold series, they gave you a play mat, a nice play mat that came with it that had like the forbidden chalices and stuff, which was really cool. But I think this is highly undervalued, and I think a lot of people, not that they're not considering it, because there's really not a lot available here. There's 3 pages here on the market. Starting market price for the lightly played first edition is roughly around 2 bones before you factor in shipping, but it's a 1 stack, and then it goes to 3 bones here. For near mint first edition, it's a 1 stack. Here's the 3 stack, but it goes all the way up to 3.5 bones. So, you know, and for the longest time, this card was like nothing. It was like a quarter bone, and you know, now it's a couple dollars, and there's really just not that much on the market. So this is something that I wanted to take note of. Next is going to be Injection Fairy Lily. So this, in my personal opinion, completely trumps Dark Magician Girl. I mean, I love OCG artwork of Dark Magician Girl. OCG has a lot of really amazing rarities of Dark Magician, like, you know, ghost rares, 2 different ghost rare prints. They have dual terminal, I think there's supers, prismatic secret rares, the original old school premium pack ultras, which have the old school text boxes. Also, they have an old school text box super too. A lot of really amazing prints in the OCG, and the OCG artwork obviously being uncensored for Dark Magician Girl is really great. I wanted to mention really quick, so with the dawning or the near horizon of Ghosts of the Past releasing here for us here in the TCG, there's been a lot of speculation. Obviously, there's been some spoils on some of the ghost rares. No one really knows what the ratio is going to be like, and people are assuming that because Dark Magician is ghost, maybe hopefully we'll get a Blue Eyes ghost, because in the OCG they have ghost rare versions of Dark Magician and Blue Eyes, the OG artworks, so the starter deck Yugi and starter deck Kaiba artworks, which are really, really great, which are, of course, the artworks that are used in the Gen 1 anime as well. So, and there's also speculation of there being a Dark Magician Girl ghost rare reprint, and with a nice little tack on spice of potentially that being manufactured in the original uncensored OCG Japanese artwork, which is very, very disturbing in my personal opinion. I'm not anymore. I used to live in Japan. I don't live in Japan anymore, so I'm not as heavily invested in OCG. I invested very, very heavily in OCG cards when I lived in Japan, because they were all over, they were in abundance, they were very, very affordable, and I sold a lot. I'll be honest, I sold a lot, and with anything else, there always has to be a buyer's market. If there's not a buyer's market, you're not going to sell, you're not going to profit, you're not going to gain much of any value, unless kind of personal satisfaction of collecting and just having, you know, foreign cards or whatever it may be. But it's a very, very hard market to cater to. We cannot use OCG cards here in the TCG, so that pretty much knocks out like a good 75% of players that just want nothing to do with the Japanese cards personally. We like a lot more European cards. I like European cards too. Personally, I like all cards. There's very, very exclusive cards. I'm definitely a lot more reserved and conservative when it goes to my OCG investments, especially with the release of the Lost Art promotion cards. Even though Konami has made complete poor decisions on the selections of what they've released with the Lost Art promotions, and they've made them in literally the worst rarity of ultra rare. I despise ultra rare, so that's kind of a ploy on them. But if Dark Magician Girl does get the ghost treatment in Ghost of the Past, and not only that, it gets produced or manufactured in the original Japanese artist intended artwork, OCG Japanese artwork, that would be a complete disarray to the Japanese, to the OCG ghost rares, because they have 2 ghost rares over there. And personally, I made a video several weeks back discussing my personal investments of, I really hope that Ghost of the Past dons a ghost rare Dark Magician Girl, so that I could buy the OCG versions cheaper, because in my personal opinion, I think obviously as well with the other players, the majority of players, the OCG artwork is the most desired and just completely superior in every way. So very interesting food for thought to consider, that maybe, I mean, if they would have the audacity to not only, I wouldn't be surprised if they give us Dark Magician Girl as one of the last ghosts, but if they don it in the original OCG artwork, the uncensored artwork, as the high rarity of ghost rare, that would be completely devastating for the OCG versions. I have not personally invested in the OCG Ghost Dark Magician Girls yet, specifically because I've had for a long time a great vested speculated interest in Ghosts of the Past, and I personally opted to wait until the set released to see if Dark Magician Girl gets a ghost rare printing, and if it gets an uncensored artwork treatment or not. It completely changes the game. So very, very happy that I waited. before I went in with my OCG investments on Ghost Dark Magician Girl. Time will definitely tell. If I had to, flip a coin and roll a dice, my bet would be that if we get Dark Magician Girl in a Ghost Rare and Ghost from the Past, I personally, White Mexican Theory, do not believe that Konami would be generous enough to give us the OCG uncensored artwork, personally. So I definitely still have my eye focused on the OCG Ghost versions of Dark Magician Girl, personally, as of right now, until Ghost of the Past drops. Alright, so sorry that was a really long sidebar, but that was something I wanted to mention. Is very, very critical, very relevant to the collector's market in the current day Yu-Gi-Oh! That we are in. So Injection Fairy Lily, everyone knows about the highest rarity original OG prints, very, very nostalgic. Gen 1 Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of Darkness, same set that Dawn the Bird, Yatagarasu, one of the awesome all-time OG band cards. And, this is insanely good money. I mean, first editions, even lightly played first editions, they're going for like 100 bones, or roughly, last time I checked. So they're really, really good money. Everyone knows this. Dark Beginning Ultra Rares, good money. Even though it's a disgusting Ultra Rare, it's an old set, it's a good set. Retro Pack, insane collector's value. Ultra Rare, crappy rarity, but, it's Retro Pack. This is like Dark Revs. Really, really good collector's market for, a select group of individuals. What people aren't talking about, and I'm going to be relatively conservative when I say this because I feel like this is definitely going to meet probably some skepticism, but again, just like how I mentioned with Tour Guide, Battle Pack Epic Dawn produced a Star Foil version of Injection Fairy Lily, as well as Battle Pack 2 donned a Mosaic Rare. Now, I don't personally like the Mosaic Rare. I think it looks completely inferior to the original Gen 1 Star Foils. But if we go into the Star Foil versions, there's just not a lot of availability. Again, this is player preference. It goes without saying, it's undeniable that Injection Fairy Lily is off the charts in popularity for artwork and collectability purposes. With the secret rares and the ultra reprints being near, I don't want to say unattainable, but you're going to have to drop some heavy coin to get those high rarities. And the Star Foils are very, very aesthetically pleasing. I personally have some myself, and I think that they look very, very great. And they're still relatively affordable, but the thing that comes to mind is there's not in high abundance anymore. So I'm not the first one. I can't be the first one that has considered picking up this card specifically for the Star Foils in bulk, because we see here, again, you're like everything else, first editions exclusively, the first edition lightly played is roughly around 2 bones when you factor in shipping. It's a 1 stack. Here's another one for, again, a little over a bone. And when after you factor in shipping, and it's a 1 stack. Here's another 1 stack. And, then it goes to roughly around 3-ish bones. And these are, about a little over 2. And this is it. There's a single page of this. Like, ladies and gentlemen, there's only 1 page of Star Foil Injection Fairy Lily. That's it. And not even a single 3 stack. These are all 1 stacks. So the first edition versions of this have just been completely peeled out of the market. And I just wanted to take note of that, because with you guys know what comes next, there's not a lot of availability. The prices are going to increase. And rightfully so, because it's Injection Fairy Lily. And I might just be biased because I personally really enjoy Star Foil Rare. And that's kind of just the way that, things are going to play out. Now, there is some other versions. Again, I am curious because, kind of if you want like the watered down version, there is the Mosaic Rare, which is like very digitalized, kind of just like crappy looking. Obviously, it's better than a common, but not the Legendary Collections common. That's going to be kind of next in the showcasing, is going to be, if you can't get the Star Foil rares, I would definitely go for the first edition near mint, emphasis on the near mint specifically for that version. Legendary Collection Commons. So this is available, and this is, I mean, there's 2 pages here. So even on this, there's really not a lot available. These are all 1 stacks. There's only 2 pages. So, I mean, you guys, you know, player preference on that. Definitely get the Star Foil first editions exclusively if you can. Trade for them, find them, do whatever you got to do, get your hands on them. Then, okay, so then there's a plethora of commons, which I really don't think I would take much note of besides the legendary collections for Joey's World. Why? Because, well, one, again, I'm kind of biased because I am completely obsessed with Legendary Collection 3, Yugi's World, and Legendary Collection 4, Joey's World, as well as Legendary Collection Kaiba. I think those are some of the all-time best reprint, collectible, mass mega sets of like all time. I have nothing but praise for all 3 of those sets. There's a lot of old cards and a lot of great rarities, a lot of great secret rares, and some of the commons are actually really good money, and I'm going to go into that in the next tab briefly. This video is already going to be insanely long. It's been several days since I've uploaded a video, so I figured I would just juice one out and make it kind of a little bit more lengthier. So that's kind of, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, so this is another alternative, and obviously this just being a common, there is more availability. Like here's a 3 stack, and these are all, you know, under a half a bone. There's a couple 2 stacks here. Here's a 5 stack, and there's 2 pages of availability. Again, you only go for first editions, more specifically probably for the near mints because this is just a common. But because it says Legendary Collection for Joey's World, that is what gives this version more value than the other commons, in my personal opinion. So lastly, the infamous Legendary Collection 3 Yugi's World. So again, kind of to piggyback off what I just said, there is just completely amazing wealth and investment value and collector's value in the set all across the board. I could talk about this set. This whole video could have been me breaking piece by piece this set, but for time purposes, I'm just going to kind of do, not even flash review prices. I'm going to kind of just shimmy through here for you guys. I highly recommend that you guys go and try to invest smartly in first edition versions of the majority of the holo foils in these cards. They're pretty much almost all blowout in my personal opinion. And the same thing with Legendary Collection Joey's World and Legendary Collections Kaiba. And there's just really, really great cards and really amazing rarities. And again, this is one of my all-time favorites, the first edition Secret Prince of Two-Headed Rex. This looks really, really awesome. And there's so many. I'm a big fan of like the vanillas. I really like the old school Gen 1. They're like monsters that are really popular in the anime. And a lot of them came in like ultra rare and secret rare. And they look fantastic. This is another really great one, a signature Yami Yugi card. Gazelle comes as a ultra rare. Highly recommend you guys pick up the first edition versions. They're getting pretty pricey now, and they're running out in the market. But the majority of these cards, for years and years and years, there was such an abundance of these cards. First edition, near mint, lightly played, you name it. Compulse was something I invested very, very heavily in. Dark Hole was something invested very heavily in. This is the only holo foil version that we have of Reckless Greed. I think we have some star foils, but this is the only holo foil version that we have. The original rares, I believe, Dawn from Pharaoh's Servant. This is the only holo version that we have of Drag Down to the Grave, which is not only an amazing signature of Dark World, it can also be played in a plethora of other decks, and it's very competitive, and I think this is a highly underrated card. Secret rare Mirror Force. The list just goes on and on and on. And this was a huge mega set, 315 cards of just pure, just great value. So when you guys have time, I definitely recommend you guys go and review, again, this set, Legendary Collections 4 and Legendary Collection Kaiba. Link below is going to be to my Facebook. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been part of my life for around 2 decades. I'm extremely compassionate about this game. I love the trading, the deck building, the friendships, the brotherhood, the investing, the dueling. There's so many amazing things that this beautiful card game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Brings to all the players' lives. Thank you so much for watching these videos. I hope you guys are enjoying this content as much as I am creating it for you. I hope you guys are making some fantastic Yu-Gi-Oh! Investments yourself. This has been a showcasing by The White Mexican, and I will see you in the next video.